You're listening to Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim, a podcast dedicated to the private lending industry. I'm Kevin Kim, and my goal is to sit down with key figures in the private lending industry to talk about their business and their personal lives. We'll get their takes on market conditions, the industry at large, and their personal stories. Overall, I really want to learn more about how they started and grew their businesses. So whether you're a lender, a borrower, a vendor, an investor, or anyone just interested in learning more about private lending, this podcast is definitely for you. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy this week's episode of Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim. Novair National Settlement Service, the premier national division of Fidelity National Financial, is delighted to be a Lender Lounge sponsor. Whether your loan is in Los Angeles or New York City, Rancho Cucamonga or Chattanooga, Novair is your one-stop resource. Novair provides a uniquely licensed national platform for both title and escrow, closing in all 50 states. In addition to vertically integrated internal commercial and residential divisions, Novair retains the best of the best, seasoned title and escrow experts focused on exceptional customer service, unparalleled quality, and uniquely customized solutions according to each of our clients' proprietary needs and requirements. Whether you're a loan broker, investor, law firm, bank, mortgage company, or mortgage servicer, Novair has the best product suite designed specifically for you. Please reach out to Susan Pedham for additional information. Their website is www.novairnss.com. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Lender Lounge with yours truly, Kevin Kim. Today, I have the special honor of interviewing Justin Ehrlich, founding partner of Churchill Real Estate. We never get a chance to meet with Justin. He's just a busy guy, and I really appreciate you taking the time today. So, Justin, please introduce yourself to the audience, and we'll get started.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. I'm Justin Ehrlich, founding partner of Churchill Real Estate, and I'm happy to be here.
Well, I mean, the industry knows Churchill now. Churchill has become quite the household name. But I'd like to talk a little bit more about, your, I guess, explanation of what the company does, because as the founding partner, right, as one of the principals, we rarely get to hear the exact kind of explanation of what is Churchill.
All right. Well, Churchill is an investment manager where we manage capital on behalf of institutions and large family offices and a lot of different banks, insurance companies, pension funds, and put that capital to work in the business purpose lending space. Mm-hmm. So we do, we provide warehouse lines to lenders, which I know you're very familiar with.
Yeah.
We aggregate residential transitional loans and either sell them, hold them on balance sheet in SMAs, or we put them into CLOs that we have launched. In addition, we provide ground-up multifamily construction loans and do 30-year DSCR loans as well.
See, that's something that the audience didn't know, right? So our audience, like I'm sure a lot of our listeners know Churchill as, the warehouse line program, mm-hmm. the lender finance program that you guys have, the aggregator program, table funding program, but you're a lender yourself. You make these commercial loans on multifamily. That's very cool to hear, and DSCR loans, and that's very good to hear. I mean, you're on both sides of the transaction, which is great. You understand what it means to be a lender.
Yeah, we do about $1 billion a year of the ground-up multifamily loans. So we're pretty active in it nationally, mm-hmm. Mostly in the Sunshine States,
right?
So Sun Belt. So
that's cool. That's cool to hear. Well, I like to get to know you a little bit better because, we don't know much about you, Justin. We always hear your name when we're planning conferences, especially. We got to get Justin on a panel. But I don't know much about you. But I understand we're pretty close in age, right? You're a younger guy. How old are you?
44.
Okay. All right. I'm 40, so we're pretty close. Right. You're from New York, right?
I'm from New York. Yep. Merrick, Long Island is where I grew up.
All right. And then always been in real estate, or is this kind of a new thing for you, or what?
Always been in real estate. So actually the first year out of college, I actually worked for my father in the interior and exterior landscaping business and holiday decorations.
Oh, yeah.
And that business was very antiquated. And I said, Dad, we don't see eye to eye. I'm going to go to NYU to get my master's in real estate. And I did that and then went to work for an investment broker called Eastern Consolidated Properties, where learned the beginnings of investment real estate. And then from there, went to work at a company called Broad Street Advisors, which was an investment banking firm handling large assignments for big banks and very large clients, where we would sell assets all across the country and provide financing and figure out all different structured finance.
Okay, so that's where you got your first kind of taste in the institutional world, right?
That's it.
Right. And then
NOI was.
And so from there, how did that evolve into Churchill? Was Churchill?
Yeah, Churchill came years later.
Yeah.
So from Broad Street Advisors, I actually went to go work with a college buddy of mine who had a relationship with a QPAM, a qualified pension fund asset manager, that was financing some development projects for him, and said, Justin, I need a partner who can really help me grow and really take advantage of the capital that I have created a relationship with. So I left Broad Street to go partner with, his name was Zach. And we had approximately $300 million allocated to us in 2008 from several Taft-Hartley pension funds.
Oh, very cool.
And they really wanted to get out of the stock and bond market just because of the volatility and go into hard assets. So they liked our thesis of buying distressed debt in New York City, like the best properties and the best located properties.
It's a good time to do that. It's a lot of opportunity.
It was an amazing opportunity. Plus, they were providing us very high leverage, and we really took advantage of the market. And we ended up acquiring well over $1 billion of distressed debt, taking over the assets and executing the business plan, either residential condo or office or mixed use, whatever it was.
All commercial though, right?
All commercial.
Right.
After we actually, in 2010, we bought a few distressed houses in Bel Air, California.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As part of this mandate.
As part of the mandate. Yep.
Oh, that's interesting. Very open-minded.
it was actually incredible. So we bought these houses in 2010, 2011. It was I forgot the exact addresses, but they were unbelievable properties. We ended up buying the houses for $6 or $7 million, invested a few $1 million, and ended up selling them for over $30 million.
So your first fix and flip. So you were
that was my first entree into the fix and flip housing space.
Yeah. I mean, that was when it really started to take off, right? Then at the courthouse steps by the house, you were doing a luxury home, but still, I mean, no different. That's very cool.
Yeah. And then after that, the market started to really heat up. Land prices went crazy. Construction costs went crazy. Yeah. And I had a really dear friend whose name was Saurabh Maheshwari, who was running credit, who's my current partner, along with Travis and Derek, who you hear a lot about, to start Churchill. And we really saw an opportunity as the markets were getting heated. The banks, and there wasn't really a lot of private lending at this time, but the banks were really pulling back and being very conservative.
Sure.
We had some great relationships with some asset managers and hedge funds who wanted to put out capital into the real estate space and take advantage of the transitional lending space. So we ended up pulling our capital together and just lending, a few $1 million early on. And then we started getting the backing of Blackstone and a few other guys like Angelo Gordon. We quickly put out about $2 billion of capital. And that was the beginning of Churchill. And
what year was this? When was this again?
This was 2012, 2013.
Okay, early in this early cycle. Okay.
Yep. You had Dodd-Frank, Basel III. People were still afraid of the construction market in New York.
Yeah. I mean, it was still hard money back then, very much hard money.
And that's exactly what we were taking advantage of. And Saurabh had a real deep knowledge in the structured finance space, so understood how to slice and dice, the capital stack to really generate the best returns for us and our investors. And we're really off to the races. And in 2016, we met Travis Masters and Derek Land, who were running the real estate group at Man Group. And they provided us with a warehouse line, and we really got to know them really well.
So you were basically, so you started out as a lender then. Churchill started out as we were a full
credit shop.
Yeah. Yep. And you were a borrower of Travis and Derek first.
That's
really
right.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that. That's cool.
Yeah. So we really got to know each other between 2016 and 2018 and really got to know their backgrounds and hear where, the institutions lacked and how they could make it more efficient and really take advantage of the business from all of our business backgrounds. And we decided to partner in 2017, but we came together in 2018 as full partners and launched, Churchill, as you know it, where we're, providing credit nationally and are a big player in the business purpose lending space and really the residential space. So,
and that actually informs the question I was going to ask you. Like, how did you choose this industry? Because I had read kind of your bio, and it screamed commercial real estate to me, right?
Yep.
You had a lot of commercial real estate development and credit experience, and then you jump into this fix and flip, short-term loan, residential dominated space. But you had done it. You were doing it as a lender from 12 until roughly 18ish. Sounds like
we were always buying debt, so we were always really distressed debt buyers.
Okay, so you were in the market as a distressed lender.
Yes.
Okay.
And then just taking over the assets through foreclosure, bankruptcy, or whatever means necessary.
A very common strategy. And NPL was a big move. A lot of folks in the space came out initially as NPL investors. So
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But really, Travis and Derek opened Saurabh and my eyes to the scalability and really the enterprise value that could be created from the housing market.
And this was when you guys first started getting to know each other in 16?
Yeah, this was late 16, 17, and really understanding what their business was. And they were providing warehouse lines and also aggregating on behalf of Man Group, RTL paper.
Right.
So what they brought to the table was such a deep experience in the RTL space, having worked at Wells Fargo, Wachovia, really doing the first CLOs, as well as, Travis is a coder by background, really set up the credit software for Wachovia back in the day, or helped build it. And Derek was a lawyer by trade and really understood the structuring, and actually, I believe, did the first CLO when he was at Wachovia. So they have an enormous amount of data and experience. And, really, Saurabh and I really brought the capital to really start the business and capitalize the business. And from there, the business just evolved so quickly. And we were introduced through a old colleague of Derek and Travis at Man Group that was raising capital in Japan, and invited Saurabh, myself, Derek, and Travis over there to pitch the warehouse lending business. And we ended up raising $2 billion from a large mega bank. And that really started off our warehouse lending.
That was when the Churchill as we know it really.
Yeah. Before that, we were really buying and selling just short duration RTL paper. So, really Churchill took off in 2020 when we received the $2 billion commitment for the warehouse lending.
All right. Well, let's kind of take a little bit of fast forward to 2020, because I remember hearing about you guys, I think it was September in 2020. It was the entire year of 2020 we were keeping our ear to the ground about people who are buying loans and providing credit lines and just providing capital, because the market was in the state it was in 2020. And so I had heard about you guys from, I forget who it was. And then I think Anthony met you guys in Las Vegas at AAPL that year, which it was the COVID conference, and no one really went to it. Yeah. But then Sarper and I connected later in the year, and we really started doing, trying to work together as much as possible. And I guess you call flexibility and understanding and nimbleness of Churchill, even at that early stage, was really apparent. You guys were willing to make it work with these people, really wanted to provide a better product than the banks were offering. Now, at the moment when you guys came out in 2020, was it just the offered product was just warehouse lines and lender finance, or was there anything else to the business at the time? So
we actually had a separately managed account, really like a joint venture, where we were aggregating just short duration
buying loans
paper. That's it.
Right. Yep. Okay. Because I remember shortly thereafter, you guys started buying loans and acting as much of an aggregator as everybody, all the other aggregators out there. I mean, in March 2020, when COVID hit, that's when we bought a bunch of performing discounted pools. Sure.
And really from there, we just grew, and now we have over 10 billion of assets under management.
Right.
So,
I mean, today you guys are one of the large, you guys are one of the top aggregators in the space, but also just capital providers. Very, very, have a lot of different product offerings to a lending shop.
We saw a real opportunity in the lender finance business, just with Travis and Derek's experience at the banks. That we saw that it was just really antiquated and a lot of bureaucracy, and it was very difficult for anyone to actually do business with the banks. So
very rigid, very hard to qualify, and then after you qualified,
you still have to go through credit, and it's not easy. So we really tried to make it streamlined with technology and just our people that we hired, and just try and make it a easy experience to do business.
And let me ask you about that, because getting that program set up, right? Because I always like to ask this question, what about, I guess you're calling it the RTL space, right? I call it private lending. What about this industry really did appeal to you guys at first? So it's very interesting for I've only on the show we've had a couple of people who started out as real estate investors or NPL investors, and the stories are all different. I've always heard different reasons for the appeal. So I'd like to hear your version of this. What is your appeal? What was your appeal to the RTL as a retail, industry, not buying them foreclosed, right? Or discounted?
The first and foremost was the scalability of it, how large that market was. I think when we got in, it was estimated to be like a $40 billion market.
Right.
And we just saw that the rates that you could buy this paper at, and the short duration and the nature of the credit being, you're able to get fairly good credit.
Yeah.
It really attracted us, as well as you can get really good leverage. And there was the securitization market. So all those really made it extremely appealing. And that's why we jumped in.
So the short-term duration and combined with the quality of the credit and that it's liquidity, all combined, kind of like.
Exactly. Plus we had all this data from Travis and Derek going back.
Right, because they had been operating in the space for a while. Man had been operating since 14 or 13, I think, in the sector. So
2011.
11? Oh, that far back, huh? Oh.
Yeah. So, so we had a tremendous amount of data. So we felt like we had a leg up. And, with their relationships, we really felt like that we could take advantage of our capital, right? Our cost of capital.
Let me ask you, turn that story the other way, right? When you're speaking to your investors, because this space is not very well known to a lot of investors, right? A lot of institutions, like even pensions, don't really understand it that well. They are coming around to it. It's become much more popular and well known. But even in 2020, or I guess 19, 20, even 21. Having to explain the space was still kind of part of the conversation when we were talking to someone, right? What do you think appeals to them? And how did you guys explain it to them to make it appealing?
Yeah. So I think at first, Saurabh and I put our own capital to work to really understand the trading nature of how the RTL space works.
Right.
How you buy a loan from an originator and then sell it to an aggregator.
Right.
And we saw just how much money you can make and how we can make it more efficient. In addition, we had some past relationships that really understood what we were talking about. So it was very easy for us to, I'm not going to say very easy, but easy for us to raise the capital with us having first went through it. And really, with Travis and Derek's background, we really had the team in place to execute. So they felt very comfortable with us, managing their capital in the space.
That's cool. So it was more of a firsthand experience. You had data to back it up, but also I guess you can call it from their perspective, boots on the ground with the people who've been in trenches dealing with the CLO side of things and liquidity. That's cool.
Yeah. And don't forget, in 2020, we really had a dislocation for a short period of time that really made it appealing. So you were buying, a lot of the guys that Saurabh and I dealt with were really NPL buyers. So when you're buying discounted performing loans, that's very appealing to them. And they knew that we knew how to manage the pools and could execute. And with our background of in the NPL space, it was just the synergy was great.
I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. This episode is sponsored by PrivateLenderLink.com, where investors and brokers find direct private lending companies throughout the United States. Are you struggling to find the right lender for your deals? Private Lender Link offers a unique service to provide private lender recommendations. Over the past 10 years, they have established relationships with many reputable direct lenders and know each company's guidelines. Their platform makes the process to get recommendations very easy. Simply provide details about your loan request by filling out a short questionnaire. A Lender Link professional will review the information and invite a few select lenders to view your loan request. The lenders will reach out to you directly to further discuss the deal and provide a quote. Save yourself a lot of time and effort by leveraging Private Lender Link's knowledge, relationships, and 10 plus years in the industry. Their network includes lenders for commercial real estate, residential investment properties, and small businesses. To get started, visit PrivateLenderLink.com and click the big green button at the top. So let's talk about, so you guys come on the scene in 2020. Make a big splash in 21 and really scale the amount of scale. You guys went from, I think it was a $2 billion allocation to now $10 billion under management today. I mean, that level of scale is immense, and it must have been a whirlwind. Talk about some of the key milestones over the past 2 years ish, right? In Churchill's evolution, because there's so much has happened the past 2 years for you guys.
Yeah, I would say first we built out an unbelievable team. So, Sarper, who really runs originations.
Everyone knows Sarper. Everyone knows
Sarper. Yep. He was an incredible milestone, as well as Jason Zhang, who really runs our lender finance business, and Kyle, who's really running operations, and I don't know if you know Mike Pizzatola, who's really just assisting Saurabh and the partners on a day-to-day basis. So, the hires that we've been able to obtain have really allowed us to grow significantly and provide the reporting and just what it takes to manage this kind of capital. In addition, Travis, along with his team of coders, have built out an incredible software package that allows full transparency up to the aggregates data extremely quickly. Really just allows originators to upload loans for us to aggregate, as well as we know exactly what our investors want to see on a moment-to-moment notice. And really opening up our office in Tokyo has allowed us to be really, really hands-on in managing our relationships over in Japan. So, these guys are unbelievable. One of the ex employee that Travis and Derek knew from Man Group is now a partner of ours in our Japanese venture. So, listen, we all have skin in the game, and we're all rowing in the right direction. And it's just the people that we have are really what created us to.
And that's a story that I rarely hear from an institutional capital provider. It's people. You're concentrating on people and the value that they've been able to bring to the company and help you guys scale. I mean, that's a really heartwarming to hear, because you're right. I mean, my closest relationship on your team is with Sarper. I consider him a friend, and like that man is always available. Works like no one I've ever seen before, and he's also like he's got great business ethics. Like he just
and the culture here is really like a family. So
how many employees now?
We have approximately 100 employees, and that is between New York
across the different offices, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's really just fostering and mentoring everyone, and really focusing on educating our employees on exactly how we want to operate the business and what results we're trying to achieve.
And through the past 2 years, for what takes a lot of folks many years, you guys hit very large milestones in, I guess, can call it origination, both on the lender finance side and capital deployed, but also on the loan buying side. And then what year was it when you guys partnered with Redwood and brought them on as a partner?
Yeah, so we brought on Redwood, I believe, in 2020, and 2020 or 2021. And really that was to help us get the working capital to grow our staff and infrastructure. So we really wanted to invest in technology, as well as make some really strategic hires. So that capital was really utilized for that.
All right. And was there I would call it like because they're also in the business, right? They buy loans and do all that through CoreVest and all these other different channels. Like, was it also a partnership on the loan side? Do they also buy loans for you guys, or
they do buy loans from us? But there's the extent of the relationship was really a convertible note that could convert into a percentage of ownership.
I see. Okay.
And really, that money was really lent to us to really for work.
He saw an opportunity through you guys, and
right. And it's not like we were forced or mandated to sell loans to them. It's really on a
right. It makes sense from their perspective, right? Another avenue to get volume, but also another way to partner with a group that has access to the industry, right?
Absolutely. Plus, we are there. I think they were one of our large counterparties in our lender finance business. So we really help each other as well as get data from them, and they get data from us. So it's a really good relationship.
Well, that's cool. And the reason why I bring it up is that kind of stuff takes forever for even some of the larger shops out there to achieve, and you guys did it in a year.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll give credit to Derek and Travis again, because they both worked for Dash, who
see, this is, and going back to the people factor, right? And I love that you stress that as part of your guys' recipe for the growth of the past 2 years is the people and the relationships that they have and they bring and they foster, and that's so important. And I love that you're giving them the credit for it, and that's so cool that you guys are talking about that as a people thing, not necessarily like a capital or institutional strategy, but at the end of the day, it boils down to the people, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. But don't get me wrong. The money, the cost of capital is extremely important. So you definitely want to have the best cost of capital and most flexible cost of capital.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's really about the people and
their
ability to drive business and help, maintain the relationships of the investors.
So let's kind of get into the weeds on the people then. So let's let the world. Again, a lot of us have heard of you and Derek and Travis and Sarper and all these people, but what do they exactly do? So we know Sarper leads your origination because he's always out there and we know him. Like, what is your exact role within the company? Like, what do you do? Are you the visionary? Are you the whip cracker? Are you the chief janitor? What are you doing?
I wish I could take credit for that, but really it's business development and focusing on overall strategy. So, being a partner, you really have to get your hands into almost everything. Right. And it's every day brings, new tasks. So I really love the business development aspect of the business, but really I would say I get my hands into almost every aspect of the business.
A lot of firefighting.
Yeah.
Right.
A ton of firefighting, ton of new strategies, thinking about new strategies, and really just keeping my ear to the ground and hearing what other people are doing and trying to bring that and those ideas into Churchill.
Very cool.
Saurabh really focuses, I would say, also on business development, also pretty much gets his hands into everything, as well as accounting and focuses on the large loans. So he's really focused on managing the large loans, some of our funds, structuring the funds. He's really a structuring credit, guy who is brilliant. So
very cool.
And Derek really focuses on the lender finance business as well as, different relationships that we have in the funds. Also creating new structures, figuring out ways to, generate returns for our investors and really focusing on the CLO and the bond markets. And Travis is an incredible manager. And he really leads the technology aspect of Churchill, really focusing on really credit, how to improve our technology, creating new types of technology, ways to do business with other businesses. So he's really a visionary in that aspect, and just aggregating data and understanding the market. So he's really helped us grow.
Well, that's cool. I mean, such unique everyone's kind of got their own, what do you call it, like a superpower, I should call it, which is really cool to hear. Because very rarely we get to hear more about for you guys, right? And we know what the business does. We have a lot of clients that we share a lot of clients, right? But getting to know more and more about back end and this technology stuff that you're talking about. I mean, beyond data aggregation, you guys sit on a lot of borrower data and lender data. Like, is it also kind of an interface with your loan originators and your borrowers on the lender finance side?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. All right. Well, I mean, so, one of the other things I want to bring up, we talk about people a lot and businesses and office culture and that kind of stuff, but you guys also have offices you're in New York, right? And you also have an office in Charlotte,
Los Angeles, and Tokyo.
And Los Angeles when did you guys open an LA office?
Probably about two years ago.
Okay. I didn't know you guys had an LA office. And here I am in LA not knowing you guys have an LA office.
Yep. We do some large loans out of LA. Is
that where you guys do the multifamily stuff? And
correct.
Okay. That's very cool. I did not know that. But yeah, I mean, having 4 offices all across the country and in Japan, I mean, it must take a lot. How do you guys manage all that as executives?
It's a great question. So 8 a.m. every morning, we have a partners call where we get on and talk about the day before and what events might be coming in the current day. So that 8 a.m. call is really important. Then
that's for all 4 offices.
All 4, actually not Japan.
Okay. Because 8 a.m. here is
Japan. We actually have a call at 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Basically 3 times a week. And all the partners get on that call. And we just discuss new strategies, new pitches, really what our counterparties are looking for.
So you're huddling at the executive level amongst the 5 of you or 4 of you, or?
Yeah, it will be 5, including Sharper.
Yeah. To see you guys. Yeah. So that's every day. Or
every single day, the 5 of us are on the call at 8 a.m. and 3 days a week we're on a call with Japan in the evening. But throughout the day, like you said, what do you guys focus on? All of us are really focused on just talking to all different levels of management and really understanding what the issues are, what the goals are,
right?
And just pushing the ball forward.
Very cool. So basically like a huddle, right? So like your own team, the executive team is having a huddle on a daily basis. And that's oftentimes kind of like we you hear about this in business books and in these different guru classes, but it's so important. And it's really cool. With Japan though, I mean, that must be very challenging. You have your principals over there, your partners over there. I mean, even the time difference is, logically one of the biggest obstacles, but there's also a big cultural difference. I mean, how do you guys manage that? Because, I grew up in the Korean American community and we have very similar, office cultures as they do in Japan. And so very, you can't really speak up. It's very counter to an American business culture, especially in real estate, right? Where we're all very opinionated and we all make sure we're working hard and that kind of stuff. How do you guys navigate those cultural barriers?
I guess we were lucky once again because Travis and Derek had experience with their old, at Man Group managing capital on behalf of Japanese investors.
And he already had done those, bridge that gap, huh?
Correct. So prior to us going to Japan, we really were, educated on just how to act, and we kind of knew exactly the way to talk to them and what they were looking for, and it was very eye-opening for Sarab and myself, but for Travis and Derek, it was obviously something that they were very familiar with. So
okay, I'd like to kind of share about that a little bit though, because we never really talk a lot. We never really get to talk a lot about offshore experiences and working with other investors from different countries on this show, because a lot of it's so focused on kind of the industry at large. But this is an opportunity. I don't really foresee ever getting again. So I like you to expand on that a little bit, because like, what are some of the big challenges, like eye-opening moments for you? Because like, as an Asian American myself, I struggle with this on a daily basis, right?
Yeah, so I would say we manage capital from investors all over the world, not just Japan.
Yeah, talk about that. What other countries are you guys transacting in?
So we do a lot of business in Israel, the Middle East, Europe, and all over Asia. So pretty much we tap almost all the continents, including Australia. So
very cool.
Yeah. And I think just managing the capital is really, it's basically all comes down to transparency and communication. And if you are able to create the right reports and the right transparency and communicate properly, you'll have a very healthy business. So I think all investors are really looking for the same thing, which is just give them transparency, communicate as much as possible, and give them the data that they're looking for. And if you can't, execute on that, then don't take on the business.
Fair enough. And you're creating kind of a universal language, right? Data and transparency, which is actually makes a lot of sense, right? Data in numbers, that doesn't matter what culture you're from, the data speaks for itself. So you can't interpret that any different way based on what country you're from. So
investor relations is so important. And like you said, it comes down to the people. Our office in Japan really does an incredible job in investor relations. And Mike Pizzatola, who works here, really does an incredible job at investor relations as well. So it's one of the most important aspects of our job. So
that's a lot. Is it a lot of the offshore money, or is it just in general? Would you say? I mean, is it? Look, the real question is: has it been that kind of philosophy on data and transparency that's allowed you to expand? Had there been other people on the team that have had those type of really kind of strategic relationships with these institutions? Like, how did you guys expand from? You guys had the mandate from Japan to start with in 2020. And now you've got global access to different investor groups.
I would say the thing that makes us stand out the most is the amount of data that we have. So we're able to make credit decisions that are much more based on historicals than most of our competitors. And Travis has created the technology to extrapolate this data and actually allow us to utilize it in our credit decisions.
Oh, that's cool.
So our investors, I guess, really know that we are the best at what we do. And we show them that with our track record. And, that really allows us to get a good reputation and continue to scale our business. It all comes down to, just your reputation, and we try and, do the best we possibly can.
I like that. Yeah. I like to kind of talk about, the optionality that Churchill offers nowadays, right? So since, just lender finance, and then that expanded, like, when you guys were adding those components, what was this like? How did you guys go? What process did you guys go through in adding those? I'm sure you have to allocate different capital sources for the different verticals that you guys have, right? And over the years, you guys added more and provided more. Describe the process in adding those different strategies for the, I guess, private lending industry?
Yeah. So, on the lender finance side, it was really investing in, once again, our people, right? So we had to hire people that knew exactly how to manage the warehouse facilities, and that took a while to actually to craft, and from there, it's also integration of the technology, and what's so great about our business is the lender finance is really financing the same loans that we are aggregating, and from there we just continue to hire people that were able to understand and help us, make our business more efficient. So it takes a lot of time, and
let's say, for example, like when you guys added table funding, right? Because that was a very big move for you guys. You guys added table funding to the business, and I was really, impressed how fast you guys scaled that. And like, from my perspective, like the amount of deliberation that had to have been done and setup that had to have been done to get that done, get it set up, is usually very significant. And you guys did it pretty quickly from my perspective. Like, how did you guys plan through that product offering? And as you guys evolve too, like, what's your guys' process in adding these type of verticals?
So what we saw in the table funding business was we were able to just generate more yield. So in the table funding side, you take more of the upfront points and more of the ongoing yield. So as yields were compressed in 2021 and going into 2022, in order to generate higher yields, we got into the table funding business, and that was really the impetus, as well as we were able to get some warehouse lines and credit facilities that allowed us to really take advantage of that.
And the setup, was it mostly kind of making intentional hires to service the business after you guys had decided, okay, this is the move we're going to make, let's build out the platform? Is that how it kind of went?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. So you're not trying to figure it out. I mean, in this space, a lot of times you're trying to figure it out and kind of thumb their way through it, but or you can go out and find the people that do this the best and recruit them, right? So
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Very cool. All right. So one of the other questions, kind of areas I kind of like to, inquire about is, I mean, today is, for our audience, we recorded this in advance. Today is July 27th, 2022. Yeah. And we got the announcement from the Fed that they're raising rates up by another 75 basis points. 2022 has been one hell of a ride, right? It's been
nasty.
Nasty. Yeah. I mean, we entered it with so much excitement, and we were all kind of nervous. I was very nervous because I tend to be a little bit more of the doom guy among the team, because I worked at a bank during the recession. So, yeah. But when you have such a volatile year, like, how are you guys, situating yourselves and preparing for whatever's coming, and how have you guys reacted over the past 6 months ish, right? And then let's look forward after that. So how have you guys reacted in the past 6 months to all these crazy times going on, especially the past 3 months?
Yeah. So that's a great question, Kevin. So I'd say, just like you, early on when the market started to really gap out, we were really nervous and trying to understand really what was going on. And it was a really interesting time for us, because one side of our business was doing incredible and the other side of our business was really slowing down. So our lender finance business really skyrocketed due to the volatility, because a lot of the REITs and funds, they had their lines either called or put into amortization, or couldn't do a CLO. So they had to find a place to really warehouse it. And that really escalated our business on the lender finance side. So I would say over the last 6 months, our lender finance business has done extremely well. And on the flip side, on the aggregation side, our volumes have been down tremendously. So, we've we've really increased rates, got much better FICOs, experience, all the things that,
tighten credit. Makes sense.
Yeah, we tighten credit, and are really holding these on balance sheet through, separately managed accounts or funds that we have, and are really trying to take advantage of just really good quality credit and good yields. So it's definitely not like the heydays of 2020, 2021 with, the bond market just eating as much as possible.
Sure.
But it's these are very uncertain times. But our lender finance side of the business, don't forget, we provide leverage to lenders that are crossed, and we feel that our collateral is extremely safe. So we love that side of our business. Our investors are continuing to fund and really dig deeper into it.
Right.
And on the origination side of the business, I think we're going to see a really amazing time to just aggregate just unbelievable paper just due to the limited nature of the competition in the market.
And that kind of takes me back a few months. And for our eyes, once again, we're right now it's July, right? Going back a few months, and like you guys were very cut and dry about it. Like, listen, market sucks, rates are coming up. We don't know what's going to happen, so we have to take a step back real quick.
Yeah.
And I hadn't heard from a single one of my clients that we share that you guys like hit the ball from them or any of that. And a lot of credit goes to Sarper for just being blunt with his counterparties.
That was so important to us. We saw the blowback from early COVID with a few of the lenders really stiffing their borrowers and really not managing expectations. So we really wanted to get ahead of out in front and really just notify our counterparties that we were buying from what we were thinking, and just let them know that we're pausing, or we're this is our new box, and really constant communication with them, so we did not leave anybody hanging. And really
right. And you also provided optionality, because the very first thing that came out was, here are our products on the lender finance side. Here's what we can do for you here. So there's optionality to some degree. And I guess that begs the question from on the aggregation and loan purchase side is, right now, it sounded like you guys have kind of tightened credit. You guys increased your requirements, but are you guys back in the market now, or are you guys still kind of waiting to see how things play out?
No, we never stopped. Obviously, we're down. We were doing well over $600 million a month of aggregations, and we're down, significantly. But you have different parameters, basically. Yes, that's correct. And
okay,
we currently, love the credit that's out there and are continuing to buy it
with the parameters that you've set, which is the right thing you feel is the right thing to do for your investor. Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And I guess, rates going up again today, and on your perspective, what do you think it'll take for our industry to kind of get back to some level of, I guess, I'm not going to say status quo, because status quo it doesn't really exist in our space, but some semblance of stability, and where the secondary does kind of come back in a much more consistent, I'm not going to say robust, the wrong way to put it, but, consistent manner, because it's a little bit still kind of uncertain. And a lot of people are worried about this new rate hike is going to be like, well, is it going to cause more chaos, or is it going to leave us, or is it going to give us certainty on rate, or what's going to happen, right? What do you think is going to take for our industry to kind of get back to some semblance of stability?
My opinion is it's going to take a while. So I think throughout this year and into early next year, we're going to see a lot of uncertainty. Unfortunately, we're going to see a slowdown in the sale of housing.
It's already started. Report came out today. Yeah.
So it's it's going to come back to a normal pace, which is, in my opinion, a good thing. Yes, we'll make, less money than we were in 2021. But I think it's healthy. And I personally think that we need to get inflation in order. We need to get a healthy, healthy housing market with supply and demand to be back to normal. And I think once we have stability in rates and inflation under control in the low single digits,
right,
we'll be able to have a secondary market again. So I believe that the bond buyers would, the bond buyers could have incredible credit. The problem is that they don't know, where prices are going to fall to. So,
right. So once they get some sense of stability on the pricing, then they can translate that to a much more consistent secondary.
We're starting to see it. Some of the big asset managers are saying, they want to just acquire at these rates, at these terms.
So they're starting to come back with their numbers, which is good. Was what I was told is the disconnect that they can't figure out what to buy at right yet.
Yeah, I think at some rate, right? There's only so much someone could afford to pay in interest.
Right.
So I think at these high single digit, low double digit rates, it's a very appealing relative to other asset classes.
Oh, sure.
So
it sounds like your kind of take on it is party's over, but we're gonna have. We'll be at brunch having mimosas pretty soon, basically.
Yeah, I see early to mid next year. I think
that's about right. I feel
some stability, and we'll be back to business as normal.
Right, and we talk about this a lot. Is that there's always other means for this industry to thrive, right? Like this industry came out of the rubble of 2008, and there's always been kind of an entrepreneurial spirit to it where they create new strategies and find new ways to get things done. And the lender finance product, until you guys came on the scene, there wasn't really that many, what do you call it? I guess privately run organizations, non-bank organizations offering true warehouse financing. Yep. That's also changed the paradigm, right? Like now other groups are providing it and more people are thinking, well, if I can do it via a warehouse line, why don't I create more of a balance sheet strategy and borrow instead of just originate and sell? So
it's an incredible time to get yield. And if you can get the warehouse line,
right.
The yields that you can generate on a levered basis are truly, unbelievable relative to other.
The question is, can they raise the necessary capital to have the balance sheet required, right? And you guys have low, right.
Yeah. And don't forget, right now you have these huge institutions like Blackstone that just raised 24 out of a $30 billion fund.
Yeah.
They're going to be buying homes for rent.
Yeah.
So
I always tell sponsors the same thing. Like, hey, if the institutions are setting up a discretionary fund, you should be thinking about it too.
So I think that is going to really create a lot, obviously, a monster amount of demand to continue to keep supply low and, prices relatively high. So I see a bright future.
I agree. And the industry's always been very, very nimble. It's always found a way to we had a blip in 16 and it solved itself. We had a blip in 20. Yep. Solve itself with kind of your guys' help, by the way. I'm not gonna lie. And then also, this is just another, and even if we were to end up in recession, we're not going to be facing in 2008. So it's just a matter of be nimble and have a strategy and make friends, right? So
that's right.
I like that. All right. So I guess the next kind of part of the show we like to ask is more kind of rapid fire questions about you, more about you, Justin. Get to know you. Right. When you're not out there, dominating this private lending industry. And providing all that, all those great services. What do you do in your personal time?
Well, I have 3 kids. I have twin 16-year-olds,
Oh,
16-year-old boys,
oh boy,
and a 7-year-old boy. So I'm very
man.
busy with the family. So I love spending time with them, and I love to race cars. That's one of my hobbies. So,
all right. What kind of racing?
So I do gentlemen's driving, where we bring our race cars and to tracks really on the East Coast and just compete in a gentleman's way.
Mm-hmm.
And
like is it a time attack thing? Are you guys racing each other?
No, it's hardcore racing, but it's not on a professional basis.
Of course. What kind of cars are you talking about here? Like stock cars, import?
These are more GT cars. Like, Porsches.
Yeah.
Things like that. And,
all right.
That's a lot of fun. My kids are really into it.
I bet. Yeah. 16-year-old boys in fast cars. I mean,
my twin boys love it, and we do it together. My little 7-year-old go-karts.
Nice. So currently, what are you driving right now? What's your race car?
I have a Porsche Cayman, and my boys have also Porsche Caymans. These they're called 718 GT4 Club Sports.
Oh yeah. That's not just any Cayman.
Yeah. So we have a lot of fun with it. It really bonds us. And
I bet it's a great hobby to have.
Yeah.
What track do you guys usually go to out there?
So our home track is Lime Rock in Connecticut. We go to Monticello Motor Club, Road Atlanta, Daytona, Sebring.
Nice.
We really travel, and it's really a family affair. And
put the cars on the trailer and go out.
Yeah, my brother-in-law does it. My father-in-law does it. And
that's cool.
Now my nephews are starting to do it, so it's really a lot of fun.
Well, the garage and everything, right? You guys have your own garage and do all that.
We have a guy who takes care of a lot of people's cars.
Yeah,
and we're part of that.
That's so cool. That's so cool. I mean, I only know one other person in this industry that does actual racing, and he's a CPA. He's on the show actually. Early on, he races stock cars here in California.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever met anyone that gets into the racing side. People love cars, but the actual racing component. If you had to, take any lessons away from racing, because racing is such an intense, I guess sport and practice. Like, does anything kind of translate to business for you? Does anything inform you in business?
Yeah, it's obviously it's beyond competitive, right?
Yeah.
So you always want to win.
Yeah,
and you have to be focused 100% of the time. So, really, that focus, that drive, that discipline to not make mistakes. Really is what I take to business as well.
That's very cool. All right. So another business question for you now is going to be, what is one business tool that you cannot live without? Right. And it can be anything. It can be pen and paper. It could be your iPad or your iPhone. Like
Microsoft Outlook.
Outlook.
Yeah.
You're an Outlook guy. Good.
Yeah. Between the calendar and my emails, it really helps me be organized.
I started studying about, like, watching these videos about how to maximize Outlook, and I was blown away what you can do with it. I realized I use like 1/8 of its capabilities, and I'm still so bad at it.
Send me the video. I probably use 1/8 too.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, some people can use it to run their entire day, and actually all these plugins you can do to actually do things like work product and calendar things and task items, and it talks with all your different. It's just I live and breathe Outlook myself. So,
and then I'll say my second thing is my phone, my cell phone. Yeah,
but with Outlook on it, I'm sure, right?
With Outlook on it, yeah, of course.
Are you Android or are you Apple?
Apple.
Okay. Okay. That's where we don't agree. I'm a Google.
I've used it for so long.
No, I get you.
I've
been using. I was like first Samsung Galaxy fanboy when it came out, and I just never left it. It's always stuck with Android. So very cool, man. I mean, listen, one of the things that I want to ask you as we close out is, when are we going to see out there at an industry show? Because we love for you guys to come out and and hang out with us at Jurassic, but also some industry people.
I'll have to get Sarper to allow me to go.
He won't let you go.
He always hogs it.
I'll let him know. Hey,
thank you,
the guys. No, because like seriously, we were planning about coming out and paying you guys a visit in your guys' office, but we'd love to see you guys at an event. We'll make sure to keep pressing and get you guys out there.
I'll be there.
For sure. All right. I love it. Well, you know what? It's been a great time spending with you on the show. I rarely get to hear about companies that I look up to so much. So really thank you for taking the time today with us. And it was really fun. I love hearing about the racing thing. That's so cool. And this episode is probably going to air later in the quarter. But for those of you who are interested in learning more about Churchill, you can find out more from Justin, or you can reach out to our friend Sarper and learn more about what they do. And then you'll see this episode come out pretty soon. So keep your ears open for our teasers. And this was Kevin Kim from Lender Lounge. Thank you very much, Justin, for joining us on the show. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for listening to Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. If you did enjoy, please leave us a 5-star review on your podcast platform. And be sure to follow our show to be notified of new episodes. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe for more content from all of us here at Jurassic. Lender Lounge with Kevin Kim is available on all podcast platforms. Referrals really help us spread the word, so please send this over to someone you think might enjoy it. See you next time. This is Kevin Kim, signing off.